Alright, sorry about the abrupt cutoff last time and the cliffhanger. I heard some noises and I thought somebody was trying to break into my house. Alright. What is it then? Osawa asked, his voice trembling. Sir, I need you to stay calm. Osawa swallowed the lump in his throat. You see, the toilet's clogged. Oh, Jesus fucking Christ. Plunger in hand, Osawa stabbed vigorously at the recalcitrant toilet bowl, struggling to loosen the unseen blockage. A cleaning utility implement consisting of a soft hemispherical rubber suction cup attached to the end of a dowel. By pressing the cup over the opening of a drain that has been clogged, one can apply suction pressure to jostle the blockage free. Makes a variety of sounds when used, such as glub, glork, schluck, schlorp, schloop, and pop. Kajiwara was at his side, wiping up the floor with a rag. How did this even happen? The detective groaned. Are you kidding? I was hoping you could tell me that. The plunger sucked and schlorped at the porcelain basin. This was a first for Osawa. He'd never tried to unclog a toilet before in his life. Think of it as a blessing in disguise, Mr. Osawa. What the hell are you talking about? What about this constitutes a blessing? I just meant that at least this happened before you needed to, do your business. Without the slightest hint of guile on his face, Kajiwara picked up his bucket and headed for the sink back in the washing area. Grumbling to himself, Osawa pumped the plunger over and over again. This was almost funny. Almost ridiculous, in fact. His daughter had been kidnapped, and he was stuck unclogging a toilet. He was quite possibly caught up in a major corporate conspiracy, and here he was, unclogging a toilet. Tanaka poked his head into the bathroom. Did you fix it yet? If you need to urinate, then use the restroom on the second floor. Well, that's alright, here's fine. Tanaka stepped in beside him and abruptly shut the bathroom door. Oh god, what? Now that the two men were crammed together in the narrow lavatory. Hey, Osawa hissed. What the hell are you doing? Tanaka made eye contact with Osawa via the mirror. He spoke in a hushed voice. I've been waiting. For a moment I could get you alone. What? Tanaka sidled around to face him, giving him an intense stare. Sir, could you please be quiet for a moment? What, weren't they alone earlier? Tanaka had tears in the corners of his eyes. This'll only take a moment. Osawa could feel the warm breath of his deputy whispering against his cheek. Tanaka reached for something inside his coat. Hey, come on, knock it off. Osawa lifted the plunger like a weapon. Look, if you want to talk, we can do it out there. Osawa shoved Tanaka out of the bathroom. Alright, do as you wish. Osawa closed his eyes. I feel like he trusts Tanaka. I feel like both of these would be out of character. Although the second one would be the one to do if, well, both of these are kind of not, like, both of these are the same thing, basically. Like, they'll both result in the same thing. Whereas this one, I don't know. I want to see what happens. Alright, do as you wish. Osawa closed his eyes. Are you sure you're ready for this? I'm not sure. This is all happening pretty fast. To be honest, I'm rather nervous. What does he think is happening? I understand, sir. I mean, now that I think of it, we do spend day in and day out in that lab together. Oh my god. I suppose this was bound to happen sooner or later. Sir, could you please open your eyes? I'd like you to look at this. You'll have to forgive me. This is all a bit sudden. Please, sir, take a look. No, I can't. It's just the two of us. It's probably going to shock you, I know, but please, just look. Is it really that shocking? Oh yes, very. Now please, open your eyes. Okay? No, I can't. So trust me, this isn't easy for me either. Alright. Bracing himself, Osawa opened his eyes. Tanaka thrust out his cell phone. Here, take a look at this. Huh? Osawa blinked, bewildered, then refocused on the phone. He could never have anticipated what he saw on the LCD screen. Huh. This is a problem. Because we don't have anything else to do. Unless, was there somebody else who could jump to Osawa? No, not there. Oh, maybe there. Actually, if it's Tanaka she was talking to, hold on. Ah, it is Tanaka. Okay. So there we go. That one actually made sense. Here, take a look at this. Huh? Osawa could never have anticipated what he saw on the LCD screen. It was an email from Hitomi. Stifling an exclamation, he scanned the contents of the message. There's a man following me. He has a gun and I think he's trying to kill me. I'm safe for the moment, so try not to worry. The kidnapper warned me, told me not to contact my family or the police. Please keep this email a secret. Well, that explains his behavior. But didn't Hitomi give the kidnapper the ransom? Osawa said. What could anybody want with her now? Tanaka shook his head, uncertain. He wouldn't know any better than I would, I suppose. Did the police know about this? And if so, why haven't they said anything? He felt himself start to tremble as he searched for answers in Tanaka's silent gaze. Do you think this could be related to that other thing? I doubt it. If it were, why would they go after Hitomi? I suppose you're right, but Osawa was shaking outright now. Tanaka laid a hand on his shoulder. First, just calm down and let's think about what we know about the kidnapper. His composure helped Osawa keep himself under control. They've taken Maria, the vice director continued quietly, along with a ransom of 50 million yen. And now they're after Hitomi. His gaze sharpened. Sir, do you think this could be someone who holds a personal grudge against you? A grudge? Osawa considered. He couldn't think of anyone who would have a reason to attack him. He'd been too caught up in virus research since his time in school to have formed any hostile rivalries. He didn't have any enemies that he knew of. Maybe someone's jealous that I became head of a laboratory, he suggested doubtfully. He had held his position for years at this point. Why would that spur someone into kidnapping his daughter now? Has anything happened recently? Tanaka asked. Anything strange since you got back from overseas? Since I got back? Osawa's heart skipped a beat, then started pumping faster. The first thing that came to mind was the solicitation he'd gotten from the American laboratory. If he accepted the offer, it would put Okoshi Pharmaceutical in quite a bind. Possibly enough to warrant someone holding a grudge over it. But the only other person who knew about the potential transfer right now was his wife, Ai. No, Osawa said. Nothing. Although his wife is bugged, so anything he says to her, somebody's listening in on that. Not that I can think of. He couldn't bring himself to discuss the transfer with Tanaka. He felt a surge of guilt for contemplating leaving his trusted assistant behind. If he did make the move to America, he planned to recommend that Tanaka replace him as department director. Still, he didn't expect that to make up for his abandonment. Alright, I'll see what information I can find, then, Tanaka said. The kidnapper had forbidden any contact with either family or the police. But Tanaka was outside of that circle, and he knew how to handle himself with discretion. I'm sorry to have to put this on you, Osawa said. And thank you. For now, let's see if we can get Hitomi to exchange some more emails. An uncomfortable thought suddenly occurred to Osawa. He blurted it out without thinking. Why do you have my daughter's contact information on your phone? Tanaka gave him a worried look. Sir, I promise I can explain once all this is over. And with that, he stepped out of the bathroom. Something in the tone of his final words left Osawa to wonder. Could it be that Tanaka and Hitomi were dating? I highly doubt it. He hoped dearly for that not to be the case. Their age difference alone made the idea a disturbing one, let alone so many other considerations. Mamoru Tanaka is 40 years old, Hitomi is 19. This makes him just over twice her age. This does not necessarily mean, however, that they could not date or fall for each other. Many couples with such an age difference between them wind up in a happy, committed relationship. Although, well, mistakes into miracles, I guess you could say. Trying to put aside his paranoia, Osawa resumed his struggle with the clog in the toilet. Most toilet clogs are caused by a buildup of flushable paper products or by solid objects inadvertently dropped into the toilet bowl, but shockingly enough, on very rare occasions, they can be caused by someone taking a dump that happens to be that big that it gets stuck in the pipe. Apologies to anyone who might be eating right now. Oh goodness. Kajiwara reappeared, still toting the bucket. You seem to be having a lot of trouble there, sir. He made it sound like the whole mess was Osawa's fault. Of course I am. I've never had to do this before. Really, I think the research you do would be a lot more difficult than this. Fixing toilets gave me far more trouble, I'd say. So it would seem. Kajiwara stood watching as if Osawa's efforts made an interesting show. I don't know the first thing about viruses, sir. But I don't find unclogging toilets to be that difficult. Oh yeah? Osawa snapped. How about you fix the damn thing? Kajiwara really was a world-class pro at pissing people off. Are you sure? You don't mind? The detective asked. Be my goddamn guest. Osawa shoved the plunger into Kajiwara's hand. Leaving the detective to handle the toilet, Osawa marched back to his study. He turned on the CD player and lay back on the sofa, squeezing his eyes shut. Oh, so is this actually a real song? This is the main title theme, but I wonder if that's actually a real song in the universe. He was seriously on edge. Kajiwara had totally broken his stride. What now? The door to the study slid slowly open. "It's Detective Kajiwara, sir. Please don't come in here without asking." "My apologies, Mr. Osawa. I just wanted to inform you that the toilet has been fixed." "Right, fine." Osawa hardly cared. He just wanted this guy to give him a little peace. "Oh my, is that really all you have to say, sir? Nary a compliment or encouraging word. Maybe a good job, Kajiwara, or you're getting a promotion, detective." Osawa blew out his breath in exasperation. How? How are you a detective?" "I'm not sure I get your meaning, sir." "You are completely clueless. I'd like to ask your superiors to replace you with a detective who knows how to take his job seriously." "Mr. Osawa, with all due respect, it's unusual for a precinct detective like me to be stationed here at a victim's home." "What's your point?" "Not to brag, sir, but I happen to be an exceptional detective." Kajiwara beamed with pride. "In fact, I made an excellent showing in the Superstar Detective contest we had on our police social media service. An online platform whose primary feature is allowing people to connect with one another. The police-exclusive social media network that Kajiwara belongs to, Poxy, is very strictly regulated, with any abusive language, slander, sexual content, or lame jokes deleted almost immediately." For a moment, Osawa thought the bolt of incredulous anger that shot through him was the onset of a stroke. However, how could a single person be so utterly infuriating? "You can't tell anyone about this, Kajiwara went on obliviously. "But this summer, a new detective manga is starting up based on me. Planned for serialization in the MPD's monthly PR magazine. The chapter titles have already been decided. Chapter 1, The Fabled Detective Kaji. Detective 2, Kaji Howls at the Sun. Chapter 3, Kaji Rides the Rails. Kaji at Daybreak. Detective Kajak. Kaji Queen of the Street. Lookout Kaji. Kaji on the Edge. Dance Kaji Dance. And Space Detective Kaji." And so forth and so on. Osawa spat out a peal of feigned laughter. "A manga. I can tell you all about the plot, sir. Would you like to hear about it?" "I would not." "It's about a telecommuting detective who solves major crimes using just his wits and his computer. Surely you'd like to hear about that, sir." "I really wouldn't. I know I may look it, but I'm pretty handy with computers." Kajiwara's eyes drifted over to Osawa's desktop. His hand darted to the mouse. In a matter of moments, he cleared the screensaver and booted up a web browser. "Hey!" Osawa barked. "Don't touch that!" But he was too late to stop the detective. The monitor showed a page for AyaNet, a fan page devoted to Aya Kamiki. Osawa's imminent rage stroke was beginning to make his vision grow fuzzy. "You come to this site regularly, sir?" "Regularly? Well, I'm not sure Osawa trailed off, feeling the heat of a blush flare on his cheeks. "There's a lot of stuff on this site. Is there a section you primarily spend time on?" "Well, I mean, for my part, I really only go to the fan forums for folks 40 and over." "Aha!" With a twinkle of curiosity in his eyes, Kajiwara peered at the computer screen. Having his privacy invaded to this degree was the ultimate disgrace. "All right," Osawa huffed. "You're an amazing detective, Kajiwara. Just incredible. I see you in a new light now. Now would you please get the hell out of my room?" He tried to usher Kajiwara back out the door. "I think we'll go with this. Now would you please get the hell out of my room?" He tried to usher Kajiwara back out the door. "All right, sir," the detective said. "All right, I understand. I'll leave. But before that..." Kajiwara slipped his hand into his pocket. "I don't need a damn banana. It's not that, Mr. Osawa. I have something that I think may be important to you." He held out a small plastic bag. Inside was a scrap of paper of some sort. "What's that?" Osawa asked. This is what was clogging the toilet, sir. With some hesitation, Osawa took hold of the bag. Huh? That's... The passenger name here is listed as Kenji Osawa. In the plastic bag was a plane ticket, specifically the one for the upcoming flight to the U.S. the following week. He left it out on his desk. How had it wound up getting flushed down the toilet? This looks like it's pretty important, sir, Kajiwara said. I must say, it was pretty careless of you to accidentally flush it. So could that be I who did that? Because I know that she has an interest in keeping him at his current company. A wry sort of smile came to his face. Although, the detective added, I suppose the question of who flushed it is another matter entirely. Osawa was at a loss for words. Someone had tried to flush his plane ticket on purpose. He was sure of it. He knocked on the door to Ai's room, but there was no response. It didn't look like she'd gotten back home yet. Osawa let himself in. The stinging scent of her perfume pervaded the room, which was decorated all in white. Clothes were strewn all about as if to put her slovenliness on display. She'd been like this ever since they'd gotten married, and Osawa had long since stopped caring. It must have been I who'd tried to flush the ticket. He knew she didn't want him going to America, but still, couldn't she have found a better way to get rid of it? Thanks to her, he'd been stuck hunched over that damn toilet, fighting with the plunger. Osawa sat down on the bed amidst the brand-name clothing, then he spotted something odd down by his feet. It was a gold cigarette lighter. Just when had I picked up smoking? Osawa picked up the lighter and set it on the shelf next to the bed. What's with the M? M as in Maria? He started out of the room, but stopped as he noticed the scrapbook on the bookshelf. The rest of the shelf was filled with fashion magazines, so the scrapbook definitely drew his eye. Curious, he took it down and opened it. The book was filled with articles and write-ups about the results of Osawa's research and the company's various achievements. Flipping through the pages took him on a trip down memory lane. There was even an old company memo welcoming Tanaka on board as his new vice director. There was a photo of Osawa shaking Tanaka's hand at the party celebrating his new position. It was a little peculiar to think that she had bothered to keep something so trivial. A series of magazine articles was nestled between the pages further into the book. These hadn't been clipped out for inclusion in the scrapbook itself. Osawa glanced through them. Floundering Okoshi Pharmaceutical arranges marriage of political convenience. It was a self-indulgent piece from some rag called 4-Star General Gossip, from right after he and I had gotten married. When the piece had first run, he'd been too furious to read it. Now he gave it a quick looking over. It was pretty much exactly what he'd expected. He talked about how one of the corporate directors had sacrificed his own daughter in order to keep one of his researchers on board, allowing someone else to come to harm for one's personal gain. In this case, the term is used figuratively, not literally. Referring, of course, to Makino offering Osawa Ai's hand in marriage. Rumors abound of marital strife between the newlyweds. The article went on to talk about how Ai had been dating another man before she and Osawa had gotten married. The whole thing was a bunch of puerile rubbish. Any marriage involved some kind of calculated self-interest, after all. Whatever the reasons for their union, nothing changed the fact that I was now his wife. With a faint sigh, Osawa put the scrapbook back on the shelf. Feeling disconsolate, he returned to his study and began flipping through his CD rack. His eyes scanned for Aya Kamiki's album for Tomorrow, Forevermore. A lot of her experimental numbers were on that album. Given how discombobulated he felt right now, this was what he needed to hear. Again, Osawa reflected on how there'd been a time when he didn't care about music at all. He'd simply purchased copies of the most popular CD of the moment as birthday presents for his two girls. And that just happened to be an album by Aya Kamiki. Hitomi was thrilled by the gift, but Maria hadn't seemed terribly fond of it. The next day, she tossed her copy back on her father's desk. Figuring that throwing it away would be a waste, Osawa had stuck the CD into his computer to give it a listen. He was immediately bombarded by an intense beat bolstered by bold, uplifting vocals. Aya Kamiki wrote her own lyrics, which did a fine job of conveying the emotions of a teenage girl. Osawa could hardly believe it. After listening to just one track, he was well and truly hooked. Before the day was out, he had purchased her entire discography. Huh? He muttered. For Tomorrow should have been in the CD rack, but there was no sign of it. Where the heck is it? Why isn't it here? For a moment he wondered if he was going crazy, and then he remembered. It was at the lab. He'd wanted something to listen to on break at work, so he brought the album there. Damn it, damn it, damn it. Not being able to listen to it made him want to hear it all the more. It wasn't like he could just go out and buy another copy right now either. He'd just have to borrow the copy he'd given to Hitomi all those years ago. Unable to contain his need to hear that music, he went into Hitomi's room. There, he quickly rummaged through the CD rack beside his daughter's bed. Part of him felt like he was being a little sneak thief. According to the email Tanaka had shown him, someone was trying to kill Hitomi. Under the circumstances, he knew that what he was doing was ridiculous, and yet he still couldn't resist the impulse to find the CD. But his efforts were to no avail. There were no Aya Kamiki CDs in the rack at all. Osawa pulled out every CD on the rack, but they were all classical music. He slumped back in disappointment. It had to be somewhere here in her room. Osawa jumped at the sound of his cell and fumbled to get it out of his pocket. Makino's name was displayed on the LCD screen. I'm up front. That was all Makino said before hanging up. Hurriedly, Osawa began tidying up the CD rack. As he worked, he thought about what he was going to say to Makino. To think that someone had violated corporate policy to such unethical ends. It sullied his research. Osawa wasn't about to let anyone get away with it. And yet, as he was about to leave Hitomi's room, a sudden uncertainty gripped him. He hesitated. Did he have any right to condemn Makino for running trials in secret? His hand began to sweat as it gripped the doorknob. No, he didn't. How could he? His hands were dirty in all this, too. Oh, sounds like he's not actually completely innocent. We need to keep this a secret, just between us. It'll be fine, we've already cleared animal testing. The memories hovered. Osawa himself had already administered the antiviral to someone, hadn't he? I wonder if it's either like one of his daughters or just a random. Maybe it's Maria, and maybe that's why she lost her memory. Maybe she's suffering some side effects, and then she's actually Tama. Maybe. It was the only way. Muttering to nobody in particular, Osawa trudged toward the front door of his house. To be continued. Well then, now I don't know what to do. I guess all we can do is... We've got this, but that's fine. Lab security. That one might be worth changing. I'm gonna read the hint here because I don't know what to do. Kana was taken off the case because he lost track of the suspect thanks to a random altercation nearby, and his glum conclusion was correct. If that father-daughter duo hadn't shown up, this wouldn't have happened. A certain someone needs to give those two some better advice, and a certain other someone needs to meet up with them outside his or her house. Both of those are key to changing poor Kana's fate. So we start with this. Let's see. Well, we can start with this. No, this is not the right choice. There we go, advice for Toyama. What did we say here? Maybe, instead of telling him to get back to the office, we tell him to stay out of trouble and stay where he is, and that's fine. And then, maybe something changes for Osawa? Let's try this. We might have a different thing here. Let's just say, please leave me alone. Oh, he got up to leave the study. Okay, that does change things. Now would you please leave me alone? He got up to leave the study. Sir, hold on. There's something I wanted to give you. And then we've got this. I don't need a damn banana. And then he left. So fled the room. He needed to be alone, if only for a few moments. But even if he could somehow shake Kajiwara, the other detectives had eyes all over his house. He'd reached the limits of his patience. He couldn't even think straight anymore. He headed for the back door, trying to avoid the police. Opening the door quietly, he slipped across the yard and out through the back fence. He didn't want to venture too far from the house. He found a tiny alley and took cover there, thankful for a few moments to himself at last. He hadn't been there long when he caught sight of a man and a young girl, a father and his daughter, running past on the main road. It looked as if they were running from something. The man flashed a look back over his shoulder, then took his daughter by the hand and pulled her off the road. They crouched behind some bushes, hiding. As he looked around, wild-eyed, he spotted Osawa watching him from the alleyway. "Help!" the man called out. "Help me. Please. If these guys catch me, Oh. The father's eyes went wide when he got a look at Osawa's face. You're... Huh? Osawa thought he recognized this fugitive too, though he couldn't remember from where. "There's some real nasty guys after us," the man said. "I know I have no right to ask you this, but please at least help me keep my daughter safe." I guess that he's the one who wrote that article. "Probably you should go to the police if... No, they won't be able to help me with this. Please, I'm begging you. Help me. I'm sorry, but... Please, if not me, then at least help my daughter," the man pleaded. Osawa looked down at the girl. Unlike her father, she was calm and reserved. She reminded him of Maria just a little. What if we called the police? Actually, no, that would probably... I don't know. Let's go with this for now. You know what, actually, I think we will decide this next time. So we can come back to that choice later, and we'll decide what to do there next time. So until then, take care, and I will see you then.